Hour number 2 of the Art Lewis Show here on WSGW. We're going to get educated this morning because we're going to talk about education. And as you know, in Saginaw, there is a brand new high school called Saginaw United, which replaces the previous two schools, Arthur Hill and Saginaw High, and unifies the district into one high school. And its principal is Eric Gordon, and we say good morning to him
in his
morning.
Last will and testament.
Interrupted myself. The new principal of Saginaw United High School is with us this morning, and he is Eric Gordon. Eric, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for being with us. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the school and the school year, let's talk a little bit about Eric Gordon. You've been around the education circle a few times, haven't you?
It's 24 years.
And it's in Saginaw, in the Saginaw district?
Saginaw, that's correct.
You from Saginaw?
Yes, I am. Saginaw, born and raised in Saginaw. Graduated from Buena Vista High School, then went on to Delta College. Got my associate, then went on to Saginaw Valley State University. Got my BA and also my master's there.
Fantastic. Well, a local boy made good.
Hey, that's what I'm trying to do.
So I have to ask this because teachers obviously have an affinity for the youngsters. And being in the classroom and imparting on their minds of mush all this wonderful information so that they move forward in the world. You going to miss that as an administrator?
You always miss teaching, you always miss that direct connection that you make with students, but being an administrator has empowered me to make honestly, I can look at it I can take a bigger piece out of them, everyone knows, hey, the principal, Mr. Gordon, but the thing about it is I get to lead the teachers as well, though, and I try to make sure the path that we set is the correct path, and gives you a little more leeway, as you say, to kind of mold students and try to make sure their path is going in the right direction, where, teachers are huge. They're huge. I mean, we wouldn't be able to do this. Teachers see the kids 90% of the time. They spend 90% of the time with them, but as an administrator, I get to see everyone, so I do appreciate that piece.
And I mean, there's been stories about the difficulties in recruiting in all kinds of industries, including education.
Yes.
Why should someone become a teacher?
Well, it's the most rewarding job I say in the world. Every day you get to touch a kid's life. I know you get paid more to be engineers and things of that nature, but teaching is the most rewarding experience in the world to me. Because you get to see these kids grow up. You get to see them become, what they want, what they dream of becoming, and no other job gives you that. I know people like to work on cars, and they do, they design these buildings and all that kind of stuff, but nothing impacts a person's life like a teacher, where you're day to day you're dealing with them and talking to them. So it's a powerful piece.
I guess what I hear in what you just said, first word that comes to my mind is passion. You have to have a passion for it, don't you?
You have to.
Fire in the belly kind of thing.
You have to.
So what drew a young city kid named Eric Gordon into education?
Well, honestly, I was around him my whole life. My mother, my grandmother, my father, they worked in all facets of the school. My father, I'll start with my grandmother first. My grandmother, she was a teacher, and then she became a principal, then she became a central office administrator in Buena Vista School District back when that was.
When it was.
And so, and then, also as a young kid, my grandmother, we used to always go down, because my family's from Louisiana. And all of my grandmother has a brother and a sister. They both were teachers as well. My Uncle Sonny down in Louisiana, he was a principal. My Aunt Helen in California, now she was a teacher. And so, growing up, I saw all these educators, as a kid. And so, that was just the way, it was just the way we made our living in our family, this education. And then my great grandmother, she was always, she was very powerful, but she didn't have an education. She stopped school in like 6th grade, but she made sure my grandmother and her children went to school, and she empowered those things in me and when I was a kid. And so, you just heard her always talking about never let someone stop you from getting your education. So those things, when you're a kid, they make a big impact on you. And then, like my mother, she's actually still a counselor in the district. She works at SCC. My mom has like almost 38 years. She's been in there 38 years. She's one of the oldest counselors that we have in the district, but she still has a passion. She loves it. She goes in there every day. And so, and then my father, he worked in a different facet. He was a custodian, then he became a maintenance, So I just been around educators in school my whole life. You know what I mean? And so
So it's natural.
Actually, very natural.
And no regrets.
No, wouldn't trade it for the world.
All right. So let's talk about the district as it stands now. We now have a United High School by name, Saginaw United.
That's correct.
Which to me was the perfect name. How is this district going to look compared to its past?
Well, the biggest thing I would say is we're now built correctly. You know what I mean? We have one high school now. Well, we have SAS as well for our gifted and talented.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, But we have one high school and we now have two middle schools. Where in the past, we had two high schools and one middle school. And it just wasn't, as they say, it just wasn't enough to sustain that. So what Dr. Roberts has done, we have now put us on the right path where we have the feeder schools, where before, with two high schools and one middle school, it's hard to keep both of those schools full. And so that's why the enrollment and stuff, things of that nature, Arthur Hill, because Saginaw High, they were monstrous schools. If you look at them, they were monstrous schools. And we just didn't have the number of students inside of them because we only had.
They were built for a time when population was double what it is now.
Correct. General Motors used to run the city at that time, and so we had so many people coming in, working in General Motors. And as the General Motors went down to Detroit and went south, those jobs went south, hey, people leave, and so, city of Saginaw.
Droves.
So the city of Saginaw lost a large part of the population.
Yeah, and it's, still trying to recover.
Yes.
Literally. And one of the things that may help in the future is the medical diamond.
Yes.
And, it really, if that medical diamond gets done, and it looks like it will, education will be a central player in Saginaw.
Yes, because it'll bring families in. It'll bring families, and then the population will come back in. That's the thing. Jobs drive the community. That's what drives your population. People come here when they can work. Everyone's looking for work and wants to make a living for their family. And when we lost General Motors, a lot of those jobs, families left.
All right, we're talking to Eric Gordon. He is the principal of Saginaw United High School. When we come back, there is a foreign component, which I just learned about and we'll tell you about when we return here on the Art Lewis Show. All right, we're back with you in studio. With me is the new principal of Saginaw United High School, and he is Eric Gordon. Been in the system for 24 years. Saginaw boy made good, so to speak. Before the show, you were telling me about a program that brings foreign teachers into the district to teach. Tell us about this program and where these teachers come from and what they're going to teach.
Well, the teachers come from all over. It's an international program. Dr. Foley, which is our assistant superintendent, he found this program called GEC, which is a Global Educational Concept. And what it does, it gives us access to international teachers. For instance, I have a teacher from China who will be teaching Mandarin this year. She just came in last Monday. And so, we have a teacher from Jamaica who will be teaching marketing. We have teachers from Brazil who will be teaching Spanish 1 and 2. When I say we have some teachers from Africa who will be doing our STEM program. So we're getting teachers from all over the world.
Got to go back to that first one from China. Going to teach Mandarin.
Yes, sir.
First, one of the world's toughest languages to learn.
Yes.
Is there student interest? I mean, there has to be student interest to make it worthwhile.
Well, yes, we do have some student interest.
I would love to come to a class like that.
We do have some student interest, the numbers are not huge for Mandarin, because we will also be offering, Spanish and French as well, 1, 2, French 1 and 2. But, the vision that Dr. Roberts has, we want to make the school international. We want to give kids exposure to everything. And so, Mandarin was one of those things we think, we're looking for some things that other schools districts don't have. And so, that's why we chose Mandarin. And we have Miss Yi, who will be here. Can't say her first name yet, but her last name is Yi. and I think she'll be doing a fabulous job for us.
So, out of curiosity, because you're offering something nobody else offers, is the Saginaw United High School going to be a magnet school? Can students from other districts attend a Mandarin class, for example?
Yes, we're open enrollment. If you're going to come from another district, we gladly accept you. The thing is, we just want to make sure we're looking for serious students. Serious students who really want to push themselves to the limits. That's what we're really looking for at Saginaw United. So we just want to give kids an opportunity to really be globally competitive in this 21st century, and that's what we're really trying to do at Saginaw United.
And by offering these foreign teachers, it also allows an interaction with folks from someplace else around the world.
Oh yes, it's new for me as well. So I'm really. We've had some teachers in the past. At Arthur Hill, SASA. A lot of our school districts have international teachers. But this is my first year with the teacher from China. And so it's a new experience, but really enjoying it. It's great to learn about other cultures and things of that nature. A lot of times we just look at how we do things. We have to look at how other people do things too. The world is getting smaller and smaller, especially now how the internet and all those things are. But I think what we're doing is we're really trying to put kids on a path where they can see other cultures and see how other people from other places do things. And so that's what we're really, really trying to do at Saginaw United.
And is Ms. Yee here yet?
Yes, she's here. She came in last Monday. As I said, she came in last Monday, and so we're getting her acclimated to the building, and so she's setting up her class. And
so I have to ask, how's her English? Obviously, as a teacher, she's going to have.
Yes, she talks. She talks pretty good English. She does. I don't understand anything with the Mandarin yet, but
You going to attend the class?
I'm gonna sneak in there sometime and see if I can learn a couple things too myself. But I think it'll be great for our students. You know what I mean? So that's what the main thing we're looking at. We're just trying to, again, it's all about, how many parents will say their child had the opportunity to learn Mandarin while they're right here in Saginaw. So
these kinds of things, though, will elevate the district, won't it?
Oh yes, and that's the vision that we have. We want to be a cut above the rest. That's what we're really trying to do. We really want to make sure that we're doing things that entice people and, it makes, but again, it's all about the students. We're just trying to do things what's right for the kids. Give these kids a chance, to really be globally competitive.
I have to ask this question. You won't know yet because you haven't started yet, but I was going to say, how's attendance? And, that we've had issues in the past. Not just Saginaw, but there have been issues in education in the past with truancy.
Yes.
Have we fixed it, or have we made progress in it?
We're making progress. I'm not going to say it's totally fixed, but we are making progress. But again, the truancy piece starts with the parents. It starts at home. It starts at home, and I'm going to be honest with you. And so we've been trying to spend more time talking to parents about the importance of making sure their kids arrive to school on time. We're going to be starting at 7:42, and so it's important that we get parents there, get the kids, because again, kids only do what parents allow them to do. So if we can get the parents to understand how important it is to get those kids there on time, I think we'll be winning that battle. But we have made progress. We the district has hired. We have a truancy officer and things of that nature. So we are trying to get after the parents to try to get the kids to school. So again, that's just something that we're trying to do because you can't learn if you're not in school.
No, and once you get them there, then you have to keep them there.
That's correct.
You have to provide the atmosphere that they'll want to stay.
That's correct. So that's what we really try to do. We try to really encompass every kid. When they come in, we have behavior interventions, we have academic interventions, we have deans, we have everything in the world. Once these kids get here, we're doing everything we can to keep them in school and make sure they're successful. And so, but the thing about it is, we just need parents to help get them there. Help us to get them there.
Let's talk about the physical building itself. It's brand new. Is
Brand
it
new.
done now?
It's not completely done. It will be some things that we'll be working on once the school year starts, but it's 80% done. It's 5-floor building. Pretty much how it goes. It'll be 9th grade on the first floor, 10th grade on the second floor. The cafeteria is on the third. 11th and 12th grade will be on the 4th and 5th floors, respectively. It will be some interchangeable parts there as far as some students, because again, if a kid is pursuing excellence and working faster than their grade level, they may take a class above. You know, I mean, that's how it's all about RISE. That's our acronym.
That's why you got the upper levels on the upper floors.
It's all about
going up.
It's all about rising. You know, that's they just say the cream rises to the top. You know what I mean? So that's what we're trying to do.
That's interesting. So what does this school offer that the previous two didn't offer? Is it different?
Again, that's why we put the schools together so we can do more course offerings. The things of the international languages, the STEM program. We have the robotics program. AP courses. We have a tremendous number of AP courses, and so again,
which stands for
accelerated prep. Accelerated prep. Again, we have AP art, 2D, 3D art, AP statistics, AP calculus, AP biology, AP government, AP chemistry, AP stats. I memean, I can go on and on and on.
That's interesting, but you keep students in grade for that, correct?
Yes.
Because when I went to school, eons ago, decades ago, before you were born, in New York City, they had what were called special progress classes. And while they did the same thing as your AP classes, they skipped a grade. We did 7, 8, 9 in 2 years instead of 3. Okay. You effectively skipped the 8th grade.
Oh, no, we're not skipping any grades.
And I'm glad to hear that, because I was a product of that. And academically, okay, theoretically, you did the work to get there. You know, you've showed that you're academically okay. It's a disaster socially, because your friends all of a sudden are behind you, and you're off to college like I was at 16 years old. And socially, it's just not, you know, there's more to education than just the academics. And I was always, you know, regretful of that. Even am today. I mean, I'd wished back then that I hadn't done it, but I did. Didn't have a choice. So I like the fact that there are AP classes but keep you in grade.
Yes, we do everything. We try to keep kids right where they are. You know what I mean? With these AP courses, you also can test and get college credits for them as well. And, you know, we also do have the program where kids go half a day to Delta College as well as go to Saginaw United for half a day, the Academy of Excellence, where we have our 11th and 12th grade students who have deemed to be prepared. We send them over to Delta College, and they go over to Delta for half a day in the morning. Then they come back to us in the afternoon. And when they graduate on time, and you know, as a senior, they'll have 32 credits of college credits that from Delta College, and then they only have to go to Delta if they choose to go so there for 1 year, and they'll have their associate degree. So we're doing everything we can to make sure kids are prepared. Also, if they are ready to pursue, you know, some excellence, we send them over to Delta as well. Like I say, you know, so they're in the same grade level, but again, they're also taking college courses.
Though. I mean, they're in the same grade level.
Correct.
You know, once you get into college and you're accelerated, that's a different
ball game.
Different ball game altogether. But in high school and in the formidable years, I mean, you develop certain social friends and relationships, and it to me it destroyed it. But that's me.
Right. No, I totally understand, because you know, a lot of times when kids when you put kids up a grade, you know what I mean, sometimes they haven't developed. You know what I mean? Haven't developed.
Yeah,
and, you know, you got to understand, you know, kids need that time, you know what I mean? Because the maturity levels sometimes are not there and all those things. So many times kids need that time to develop so they can really, you know, because try to force them to grow up too fast sometimes, it can backfire on you. And so what we're trying to do is make sure kids are socially and emotionally ready for the next steps.
We're going to take a break. We're talking to Eric Gordon. He is the principal of Saginaw United High School, opening up this year for its first year in the world of education, and we will be back.
Jim Wilson, it looks like the...
All right, back with you here on WSGW. In studio with me is Eric Gordon. Eric is the principal of Saginaw United High School, and for 24 years, a member of the Saginaw school system as a teacher and administrator. I'm going to drag you kicking and screaming into a philosophical discussion here, Eric. He's going, uh-oh. No, serious though. Education has been a forefront topic for many, many, many years. And when we look at the United States, where it ranks in the world, it's disappointing. Why? What's happened, and what do we need to do to fix education in this country? If we take you out of the school system,
Yeah.
he doesn't represent the school system now. He represents himself.
Well, honestly, in my personal opinion, we have to get back to where students actually, and parents actually really care. If you go to these other countries, you see these kids, when a lot of times they come from poverty, they're hungry. They're hungry for a chance to learn. In the United States, and I blame the United States. We give too much for free. We give too much for free. You know what I'm saying? To be honest with you, where other countries, students are very, very hungry and they want a chance to get the education. Where our kids be like, hey, you know what? It's gonna come to me. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Where you look at these other kids, when you go to China, when you go over to Africa and things of those they have to walk to get to school. They have to do hey, our kids, if a bus ain't picking me up, I'm not going. We've made things so easy for our students that I think it hurts us in many ways, where they're not as hungry for that education. And so that's my personal opinion, and I do think we have to get it to where students feel like, hey, life is not going to come to me. You have to go get it, and a lot of our students don't have that philosophy.
And some of it is cultural differences.
Yes.
Because, I've always been taught that Asian students, for example, do well in school because it's a way of honoring their parents.
That's very true.
Part of life, And, boy, wouldn't it be nice to have that instinct here?
It would be wonderful if we have, students who want to just honor their parents. And I think every household is different. But, when I was growing up, my dad was like, Eric, you got to go to school. There's no ifs, saying that's your job. You know what I mean?
I recognize that.
He told me that's your job. Our job is to provide for you. Your job is to go to school. And so, they instilled that in me at a young age. And, not knocking anybody else's home or this and that. But I think that's the kind of philosophy we have to get into, where students look at going to school as their job at this point of their life. You know what I mean?
Well,
honestly, yeah, it's like you have no other responsibility. We provide your food, we get your clothes, we take care of you, shelter.
That's your payment.
So, it was like, you go to school and you go there to learn. And my mom always said, school don't call me, I call the school. You know what I mean? That was her philosophy. Of she didn't want that school calling me for any kind of trouble or this and that. She was like, I call the school. You know what I mean? And so if we can get students to follow that philosophy and, think about those things, I think we'll be in a much better place.
I have to chuckle at that because in school, I think I saw my mom as much in school as I did at home because she was active in the PTA and all of those things. And every time I turned around, there was my mother. Heaven help me if I didn't do something right in school, because she'd know about it before I would. you know? And it was the way of life. I mean, I didn't have a choice. None whatsoever.
I totally understand. Me either.
And, it served us well, though.
But I didn't want to embarrass my family either. My grandmother, she was a principal there in central office and stuff, and I didn't want that kind of stuff. I didn't want to go to school and then they'd be like, wow, her grandson is this or that. I didn't want to embarrass my mom, like, wow, he doesn't come here prepared to learn. And I mean, the thing is, I had a good life as a kid. My parents provided for me well, and so that was my way of rewarding them for what they instilled in me. You know what I mean? So, and I just wish we can get more students to, to look at school like that and try to be more prepared and try to come to school and really want to learn. That'll make a huge difference.
One of the things schools have had to do financially is cut things because they didn't have the money.
Mm-hmm.
One of the early things to get cut is like music and arts and sports. But those are important elements of education, aren't they?
Oh, yes. And, and that's where we have those things, and like, for instance, but when they took out the back in the day, they would call them wood shop and things of that nature, which now we have kids now doing that at SCC, developing trades. But for me, it was important in middle school. I mean, when I went to middle school, when I was in 7th grade, oh man, I couldn't wait to get in Mr. Collage's in them class and try to learn about the metal. I had metal shop, and then I learned how to arc weld. Those were some things that were just like, wow, they're life changing.
It seems to me in this country we went through this notion that everybody had to get a college degree. And we did that at the sacrifice of the industrial arts.
The trades.
And the trades. And I tell people regularly, you become a welder, you can make probably more money than most college graduates your first year,
Sure will.
And it's refreshing to know now that we're going back to trades. When I went to school, my high school, going into high school, you had to choose whether you were going to get an academic diploma or a vocational diploma, because the requirements were different as to what you took in terms of the basics.
Okay.
Academics, it was, 3 years of this, 3 years of that, 3 years of language, 3 years of math, 3 years of science, 3 years of history, 3 years of everything. Vocational, not so much, because some of that training came through vocational, because if you're doing drafting, for example, you learn about numbers, you learn about all those things. You do that in most of the crafts. So the program was different, but when you graduated with a vocational diploma, you didn't have what you needed to qualify for college, but you certainly were qualified for the trades.
Right into the work world. And, that's what I think our program SEC does. Kids, if they go over there for 2 years, they can learn how to weld. They get some things and learn how to do. They have law enforcement, and those skills are missing. They have auto body, and a lot of those skills are missing. Construction. From
Well-paying jobs.
Pays very, very well. And honestly, because college is not for everyone. I'm being honest with you.
That's
it's
true.
not for everyone, and so we encourage kids to go to the SEC, get the trade, because it's so many jobs that honestly, back in the day, there's go to college, go to college, go to college, go to college. But the world has evolved and the world has changed. It's kind of reverting back, because back in the day, you had a lot of those things taking place, the carpentry and all those things. And so I think we're getting back to as they say, getting back to the basics. Getting back to the basics.
Eric Gordon is my guest, principal of Saginaw United High School. We'll be back with one final segment after these notes.
Is your foundation showing signs of...
The Art Lewis Show, in studio with me, Eric Gordon, principal of Saginaw United High School. Is there going to be a chance for the public to tour the school with an open house of any kind?
Yes, that'll be coming out very, very shortly from Dr. Roberts. We have a plan right now, but I don't want until it's finalized. Hey,
Okay, I'll respect
as you
that.
say, I stay in my lane until it's finalized. But it'll be actually before school starts, and we start on September the 3rd. And so we do have a plan, but I just want to make sure all the logistics are worked out before I start saying it. So I'll let Dr. Roberts handle that piece.
And let's talk about sports. I mean, Arthur Hill and Saginaw High were competitive, to say the least, in sports, and there was quite a rivalry. Now we have a United High School. What are going to be the sports programs?
We're offering we have everything. Everything we had at Saginaw High and Arthur Hill, we have that and then some. A lot of people don't know. We have golf. We have tennis. We have a lot of things that people don't even think that we have.
Well, we think football, basketball.
Yeah,
typical.
Football. Yeah, we've been had the basics. But we have bowling. We have bowling. Cross country, track. Competitive cheer. All the sports that people didn't think we have them. And we've been had them. It's just a matter of we got to get those. Everybody knows about the basketball and football. That's what all people talk about. But we have more. Anything that a kid wants to try to play, we have it for them.
Because we've brought these two high schools into one, I got to believe, particularly in the frontline sports like basketball and football, positions on those teams have gotten competitive, to say the least.
Very much so. We're seeing this year. We have struggled in football in the past, but we have a new coach, James King, and this is the first year I've seen we have over 90 to 100 kids out in the summertime. Out in the weight room. So I can say we were really going in the right direction. Basketball, we were already a powerhouse. We already had two good teams in Saginaw High and Arthur Hill, together. They'll be under Coach Julian Taylor. I think this year, I think we're going to be great. I think we're going to be very good. We've always been very competitive, so I think we'll be very good. I don't want to put any pressure on my coaches. I just want them to go in.
All right, sure. Tell me about it.
Let's do the very best that they possibly can. I don't like to put pressure on them, but I think we'll be very, very solid. And so, and it's something that the kids are working together. I think they've been doing that honestly for a while now. It's just people thought we had this big old rivalry, but we really haven't. The only time we had that rivalry come out was when we played basketball against each other. And other than that, we've had co-op. All of these sports have been co-op for the last 3 years. So everything we've been doing together anyway.
So what about fields? Football, where?
This year we'll be playing at Saginaw Middle, which is formerly Saginaw High School. And
Right, so that field is still...
yes, that's still under construction.
Right.
That's going under construction. So the football and the baseball fields will not be ready until next year, and also the field house as well. So we'll be playing our basketball games at Saginaw Middle, formerly Saginaw High, as well. That's just this year, and then once the field house is up, and then we have the football stadium and the track and all the amenities. Those things will be taking place over the next year, and they'll be complete for next school year.
I can remember when Dr. Ramont was on the show prior to the millage passing and said, yeah, we're going to go for this millage, $100 million. And I went, and first I was blown away by the support the community gave it.
Yes.
And then to realize that it cost more than $100 million, and the feds came through with the dollars to make it happen. What do you say to the people of Saginaw for their money?
You just say thank you. You know what I mean? You just say thank you, and we're going to try to live up to the dream that they've given us. You know what I mean? It was very tough on the taxpayers, but again, they believe in the students' future, though. It's all about the kids, and they believe in the future for these kids in Saginaw Public Schools in the city of Saginaw. So, you just want to thank them. And how we thank them, though, is we go out and we do what we're supposed to do, as far as giving these kids the best possible education that they possibly can get. And that's what we're really trying to do right now.
Including Mandarin.
Including Mandarin.
I'm not going to forget that now.
Hey, it's something that I don't think anyone else is offering around here,
That's
but
fabulous.
that's what we're trying to do.
Well, Eric, been a pleasure for me to meet you.
Hey, it's been a pleasure for me as well. So I really appreciate the invitation. Thank you.
Anytime something's going on, you want to get it out there, let us know.
I will do. I promise you I'll do that.
All right. Eric Gordon, principal of Saginaw United High School. We thank you for being with us today. We'll be back to close out.
Attention Great Lakes Bay Region.
All right, that'll do it for the Art Lewis Show for today. My thanks to Eric Gordon for joining us, the new principal of Saginaw United High School. Coming up on Focus, we'll learn about the hometown heroes.
Broadcasting from the